So
Hmm.
this is the Elder Nerds Test Pilot Podcast, Episode 1, with Pete Hernandez. I'm Gary
Hey,
Esposito. What's up, Pete?
good.
Yeah?
Nothing much, man. I was just getting sucked back into Buffy.
Yeah, I saw that on
On
your Facebook timeline. Yeah. I never
yeah, I
watched
don't know.
it.
I don't know what inspired me. So, I heard something on a podcast that made me think of a particular episode, and I was inspired to go take a look at it. And next thing you know, I'm jumping around through one season after another, just looking at like some of my favorite episodes over the 7 year run, and now I can't stop watching.
Oh, okay. I never saw an episode. And
What?
everybody says it's fantastic. Yeah, when the show was
Oh
on in the
man.
'90s, I was working and living in Manhattan, and I was always working late or going out, and so I
Oh
never recorded it, never saw an episode. Everybody
yeah. I
says it's
used
one of the
to. I
greatest
used to
TV shows
record
of all
it for.
time.
I
What
mean,
was
I
that?
used to record it for when I wasn't home, but yeah, that was something I watched faithfully. That's what really turned me into a diehard Whedon fan.
That's cool. That's what everybody says. Yeah, I didn't come on until actually I didn't come on until what was that? The Dollhouse was the first time I ever watched a Joss Whedon show.
That was another show that had a lot of potential, and Fox screwed him over
Yeah, they always
as
seem to
they
screw him
as they
over.
have in the past, like with Firefly.
Yeah, I finally watched that a couple of years ago. I really liked it.
Yeah,
So
Firefly was amazing.
yeah, that was pretty good. So even after years of all the hype, it still lived up to the acclaim that people gave it, and I really liked it.
You
So
know,
I'm here.
most of his shows were really well done and had incredible potential. And the two that really were treated the worst were Firefly and Dollhouse, because they were never given a chance to run, because he likes to start out slow, and Fox, according to him, according to an interview he did years ago about it, they said he said Fox likes shows that come exploding right out of the gate, like 24 and Prison Break. They want everything to start with a bang, and Firefly and Dollhouse had a slow build, but the payoff was big. The like if you saw Serenity, you knew what Firefly was leading to. And with Dollhouse, he knew the end was coming in the second season, so he put together the best possible finale he could. But that was a show that would have developed into be something really fucking amazing if they would have given it a chance. But
Ah,
Fox screwed him.
yeah, that's what I heard.
After that he was supposedly done with TV. He was really through with it.
Yeah, I think he is because he did that Doctor Sing Along for the web, and plus the
Yeah, yeah,
success of
Doctor
the
Horrible.
Avengers, Doctor Horrible, which I have to admit I never saw either.
No, geez. Are
I'm
you
not.
sure you should be hosting this podcast?
I know, right? I am not a fan of musicals, but
Yeah, you're hosting a podcast about nerd culture and you don't watch any of it.
well, I figure I have an opinion, and me and my friend last night were talking, and I told him about this, and our tagline I think should be like more opinions, less gossip, because I don't want this to be just another like gossipy report on the news of nerd culture. When me, you, and my friend Patrick talk. We'll
Yeah,
hopefully
yeah.
be joining. We always have an opinion on things that are going on,
But I
more
mean,
than just.
it's the internet, so it's what is there? I mean, there are facts and there are opinions, but there seems to be more opinions than anything
Oh
else.
yeah, more.
But
But there's also a
I
lot of
listen to a lot
gossip.
of those shows that. I'm
You know,
sorry, say that again.
there's also a lot of gossip and rumor that goes on in the internet, and I don't want to do something like that. So I figured
Yeah,
you would
yeah.
just comment on the
I
news of the
try.
day.
Yeah, I try and convey information that I've absorbed from fairly reliable sources, rather than, like, I don't really care about rumors because they always change, and it's irrelevant. Like, who gives a shit? I like
Exactly.
the I like the stuff that you can get from, like, Variety, Hollywood Reporter,
Yep.
those kind of sources that have been, like, with, like, even like the Guardian, or some of the European papers where they interview celebrities, and you get some insight from that. Like,
Yes.
the stuff going on with Ben Affleck and the word on Justice League and Wonder Woman and all that.
Right. I mean, of course, rumor and gossip and whatever will be part of the news, but I don't want it to be the main point
Yeah, the
of the
main focus.
podcast. I don't want to say, "Ooh, Star Wars is going to have like a new Jedi in
Yeah.
like episode 8." Who will that be? Luke's brother. Shit like
Oh,
that.
yeah. Oh, you mean like not so much gossip, but just the kind of pointless speculation.
Yes.
Where it's
Exactly.
just like, I
Yeah.
wonder what this is. I wonder what's going to... It's whatever. Like, I don't know that that's something I want to listen to for a long
Exactly.
time either.
Like I'd rather talk about something that I don't know if you had it on your timeline, but the
Uh-huh.
news was that lately was that the New York Times is dropping their graphic novel and original graphic novel and trade paperback top 10 list,
Oh,
bestsellers for the week, and a lot of artists and writers and graphic novelists were upset at that because being on the New York Times bestseller list does give them recognition, but it
yeah,
also
right.
helped libraries and schools know what books to choose to put in the library or to get kids to read in schools. And so they were upset that the Times is dropping it.
Yeah.
But I read today that the Times, they're not really dropping it. They're dropping the list, but they're still going to do articles and commentary on graphic novels.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, a news like that is something I would rather talk about than, like we were just saying about, speculation and gossip,
Yeah, yeah. I mean,
You
I'm
know,
sure it's going to happen inevitably, during the course of an organic conversation.
oh yeah,
We
of
might...
course. Yeah,
It's going to be, at some point, we're just going to slip into, well, I heard this, and I heard that, or I read this,
right.
and I read that.
But I wouldn't mind gossip relating to maybe something that's already established. That
Yeah, yeah,
instead of
yeah.
just
Something with a
something
bit of
what?
a foundation.
Yes, exactly. Instead of just the
Did the did
wild
the did the
gossiping.
New York Times did the Times give a reason why they're dropping the top 10 graphic novel column?
No, I didn't. I think they just. I didn't really read. I didn't have chance today or yesterday to read the whole story, but
Uh huh.
I think they're just doing it because they didn't. Whoever's in charge of that area of reporting on books and whatnot just didn't think it was a viable genre to report on.
Oh
It
wow.
seems like the person who does all those columns kind of thought it was like thinks graphic novels and comics is like kind of beneath the times. Now it seems like they have
Wow.
this new person. Yeah,
I wonder if it's new management that made that call, or if they have new information regarding the sales of graphic novels that would have led them to that decision. You know what I mean?
right. Yeah, I mean, like this weekend I'll probably read more about it, but I only got to see like a little bit of like certain bloggers were talking about it, but work was busy the last 2 days, so I really didn't get to indulge. And
How long have they had that column, the graphic novel list?
for years and years, you know.
Hmm.
Someone like Raina Telgemeier, who did all
Mm-hmm.
her original graphic novels like Smile and
Mm-hmm.
Drama, which sold hundreds and hundreds of thousands of copies. She was on the best. She had like 4 books on the bestseller list at one time over the
Wow.
past 10 years. Yeah, she's probably the biggest graphic novel seller in the comics field right now, for the last few years.
Hmm.
And, they also reported on stuff like Diary of a Wimpy Kid, was a big seller
Right. Right. Right.
and stuff
Hmm.
like that. But it was a very helpful for libraries and schools to know what the latest hot books were that kids were into. And now without
And you know
that,
what's weird is, like, how much space could it possibly take up in their paper that they would need to sacrifice it?
yeah, I know, right? A couple of column inches for an article or
Exactly. How
two.
big could it be? I mean, everything they do is in what, 8-point type, 10-point. I mean, 10-point font or something like that, and
Yeah.
it's already
Well,
tiny as is.
yeah, well, they had to review a couple of books and then do the list too. Yeah, I mean, what are you talking about? Maybe a quarter of the page?
If that.
Yeah,
It,
exactly. So,
yeah, a little rectangular slot for a top 10 list wouldn't kill them. That's it. Just the only reason I'm even wondering aloud is because it can't possibly take up a lot of space. So I don't imagine that would be a decision for dumping it. Like there's got to be something more. Now, you're going to have to read that article and maybe get back to me. There's got to be more of a rationale behind it. It sounds a little. It sounds too out of the blue.
Yeah, so I'm gonna I'll read up on it this weekend. But I mean, this is what I would rather talk about than
Right.
like movie gossip or movie rumor and stuff like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. Yeah.
So things that kind of affect us in a way.
Mm-hmm.
You're putting together an original graphic novel, so that that
What do
can
you?
have some bearing on you at some point.
Yeah. What do you know about like? I mean, I'm assuming in the past when comics were like everywhere, like in every Optimo, in every newsstand, in every drugstore, as well as the bookstores. I'm guessing having it on the Times, or having it in the Times on a list would definitely generate sales.
Oh
But
yeah,
then
of course.
as those outlets shrunk, maybe the Times just wasn't that relevant anymore for graphic novel sales.
Huh? That's a good speculation, a
You
good
know what I mean?
theory.
Like maybe it's
Yeah.
not that big of a deal because comics and I mean graphic novels and comics are only sold in just a handful of places around New York, so it's like maybe it's really not that big of a loss when you think about it.
That could be it. That's true. I mean, yes, there's no more borders. Barnes and
Hmm.
Nobles is not what it once was, but
Right,
Amazon is still a big player.
right.
Um,
If
yeah,
anything,
that would
Amazon's wiping everybody out little by little.
yeah. I mean, there are smaller independent bookstores starting up, but that's really an interesting question. I wonder how they do get their data for book
Yeah,
sales,
because I
and
mean, it's almost like if a club promoter who's doesn't have the following or the power that he used to suddenly decides that he's not gonna promote a certain singer in this day and age with the internet with social media. It's like, oh well, who cares? I can go do the same thing online. Get as much if not more interest generated online because it's like the New York getting something on the New York Times is good press. It's good hype. It looks important, but
yes,
all the articles I read about promoting yourself, for example, is that this is the age of this is the DIY era, where it's more about public relations than advertising. So having something in the Times, being talked about might not be as big of a deal anymore as just having discussions online with people about your book or private chats or twittering. You know what I mean?
yeah, I do. That's true. That could be a reason. Yeah,
It
that
might not be a big deal anyway. It's like, oh, it's gone. All right, well, whatever. Who do you know that reads the Times?
Well, yeah, I
That
do. I must
or
admit,
better.
I do know a couple of people that still read the Times, but for a lot of artists and writers, having that New York
Hmm.
Times bestseller list tag does still
Yeah.
probably still come with some prestige. I mean, you figure the Times is really one of the last. Uh, I mean, they've had their problems in the past, but they still have the rep as being the most
Right. One of the more like
trusted and
a respectable news source.
yeah, exactly. So that does come with a certain, cachet
Hmm.
with that title before your name. So, but that's interesting. I like to do some more research on that over the weekend
Yeah,
and
because I'm
see.
curious as to how many New York Times sellers would really go out and buy graphic novels anyway. You know,
That's what I always wondered too.
yeah.
That's
I mean,
true.
if they're not attached to a movie or a TV show, and it's just a graphic novel, I'm wondering how many people go from reading the Times who go and pick up like some graphic novel about an alien world, like Saga or something like that. You know what I
Right?
mean?
Yeah, yeah. I always wondered that too, but they never do give out their information on that. But that's a good
Hmm.
thing. I'll look into that this weekend because I'm not going to be doing much this weekend. Going to be
Yeah,
local and just doing errands and stuff around the house. But yeah, this is what I want our podcast to be.
yeah.
Hope maybe we'll get my friend Patrick to join in if he wants to. I don't know. He didn't feel enthused when I asked him on Monday. I don't know. We always
Well,
talked
you know what?
about it.
We can just do it
Yeah,
at our leisure and see how it builds. And if we can stay hyped up about it, then we really don't need anybody else. Just keep
Yeah,
doing it, and if we put it up and people dig it, they might want
exactly.
to chime in some way later on down the line. You know how that shit is. Anything you start out that's brand new, nobody wants to get on board until it's already tested.
Yep, exactly. So that's what this is, a test, you know. And now I'm going to, we'll cut it short now. I want to put it up on sound, I want to see how this recorder worked. I want to see how it goes up on SoundCloud. But I mean, like,
Yeah.
maybe next week, like you said, we'll do it Saturday mornings at 11 o'clock. We'll talk. Like, I want to talk about Star Wars and shit,
Yeah,
and,
yeah.
uh, and all that stuff, like the way people reacted to me not being thrilled
So
with the title, The
the whole
Last
Last Jedi.
Jedi.
I
Yeah.
mean, the thing is, this here's the thing. You could almost take the reaction you got online by the way you were negative about the Last Jedi subtitle as almost a bit of flattery because it's like, why are they so bent out of shape over your opinion?
Yes, I know. Like we'll talk about this more next time. But this blind devotion of fandom for anything
It's
Star
yeah,
Wars related is
it's
kind of a little scary and kind of.
that's why it's just embarrassing for the fans that are normal because then the fans that are normal and understand that it's a product, it's a work of art, it's a film. It's not life. It's not gonna harm you in any way if somebody dislikes it, and it can't possibly. I mean, unless you're just really weak, it's not gonna change your point of view. If you like it, you like it. Fuck whoever doesn't like it.
Exactly. But there's like this slavish devotion to the
Yeah,
brand
it's
that if
that
you
it's that
insult
you
the
know what
brand,
it's
they feel like
those.
they're getting insulted, and that's not the case.
That's exactly it. That's exactly it. They've hung their identity on the thing that they love, be it Marvel or DC or Star Wars. So any negativity towards that, or whatever they perceive as negativity, they take it as a personal insult because they've so closely made it a part of themselves. You know what I mean? It's like you're insulting their kid. Meanwhile, they have nothing to
Yes.
do with it. They put some money down and they buy, one of the mass-produced units that's put out there in the world. So there's no, that's about as close as a connection as they can make. Everything else is it's just in their head.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I totally
It's
agree with
like,
you.
who
But it's
cares? You don't like it, so what? Who gives a fuck?
exactly. But it's just I want to figure out why they're so ready to die on their sword over this brand. That's the
Well,
thing.
they
Like you said, it
just
identifies
speculating.
them. Like I think you're
They take
absolutely
it
right.
they've made it their special thing because I guess they don't have a special thing that they can do like sports or art or music. So being a diehard fan is their way of feeling important. But deep down, they know it's not theirs. They don't own it. They've contributed nothing to the creation of Star Wars or any of its part. You know what I mean? With the except, I guess you could say, the ticket buyers, their money filters back into the production of it, blah blah blah. But I mean, the reality is that they're not creating anything on their own, so they adopt
Well,
somebody else's creation as their special thing. And then when you say something about it they don't like, it's like you're insulting them. The same way people get insulted when you make fun of their religion or their favorite politician or their
I could
favorite
see
music.
that. I could see that,
They've
but
hung their personal identity on the thing.
well, I could see that with religion because it's faith and politics. But I mean, I do happen to know a lot of creative, intelligent people who are
Hmm.
just devoted to the brand, like some of the people that were commenting on my Facebook timeline, but they are dyed in the wool 100%. I don't know what they're. Like I said, some of them were artists, some of them are, were lawyers or creative,
Hmm.
creative people, and but they just have this Jim Jones cultish, you know, loyalty.
Most people are followers. The reason leaders stand out in history is because they're special, because they're not going with the flow. They're not, being swept up in a tide of public opinion. They're actually standing apart and stating their case and making their voice heard and putting their opinion out there, regardless of all the shit that's going to be flung at them. and these people kind of fall into that category. You know, so everybody rebels against the guy that has a difference of opinion. Everybody trashes him.
True.
You know, well,
Yeah,
I
I like to
just
give
could
this
care less.
little.
It's like I thought the title was cool, but I wasn't going to lose any sleep over it if anybody didn't like it. It's like, who
Of
cares?
course, yeah.
I'm going to go. We're all going to see the movie when it comes out. That's just a given.
Yes. Which brings me to some other points, but I want to cut this short now because it's about 20 minutes I've recorded.
Mm-hmm.
Let me end this. Let me go back and listen to it, see how it sounds, and if it sounds good, I'll put it on SoundCloud as a test.
Right.
Because SoundCloud, you know, like you got to pay a subscription fee. You only get like
Mm-hmm.
for free. You only get like a certain amount of minutes to upload. But
Well, you know, there are other. I mean, I don't know if they still exist, but there were other podcasting sources out there like Stitcher Radio and a couple of others that may have a better setup. I
okay,
mean, back in the days before SoundCloud, there was something called Live 365
oh
where
God,
you could
yeah.
do a show for like an hour or so, I think.
Oh wow, can you look into this stuff?
Yeah, I'll take a look because I
Because you know
remember,
more
because I
about
mean, I
that than
knew
I
guys
do.
when I used to do club promotion. I knew guys that had a music podcast before. This is like 2001. The term podcast wasn't even being used then. It was just called internet radio, and they used to use Live 365, and you would get. I think they gave you a free half an hour or a free hour, and then you paid to have a longer show if you needed it.
Okay, yeah, I was. That's the way it is with kind of with SoundCloud too. I was hoping that something would be free hosting, but
Yeah.
all right. Let me end this. If you could look up some stuff like that, maybe you know. But if not, we'll just pay for SoundCloud. But let
All
me
right.
listen
Cool.
to this, and I'll give you a call back. I'll let you know how it is, and
All right. Awesome.
I'll talk to you in a few minutes.
All right. Great.
Take care, man.
Bye.
Bye.